Queen Zerelia of the Thraxis Dominion stood motionless beneath the planetary banners, her many-colored eyes fixed forward as the ceremonial bonds sealed with a sound like thunder folding into silk. Ancient runes flared, recognizing a union forged not by affection, but by necessity. The war had drained the Dominion's fleets, shattered outer colonies, and awakened enemies that circled like carrion beasts. Peace had been purchased. The price stood beside her. Marcus Hale, human. Former infantry officer. No noble blood. No royal lineage. No visible enhancements. He wore ceremonial armor stripped of weapons and insignia, looking more like a guard than a consort. His expression was calm, respectful, almost distant. Zerelia felt a flicker of irritation. This was the male she was bound to for the survival of her people. A political offering to the Terran coalition in exchange for military withdrawal and shared defenses. The advisors had assured her the human would be compliant, symbolic, easily managed. A consort, not a king. When the ceremony ended, the court erupted into ritual acclaim. Zerelia inclined her head with practiced grace, then turned and walked without looking back. Marcus followed a respectful step behind, exactly as protocol demanded. In the days that followed, the palace whispered. She married a Deathworlder. A fragile species with short lives. He is unworthy of the throne. Zerelia neither defended nor contradicted them. She had no intention of granting the human more space in her thoughts than required. He attended court functions silently, spoke only when addressed, and spent most of his time in the palace's lower training halls alone. That, more than anything, unsettled her. One evening, curiosity overcame duty. Zerelia entered the hall unannounced. Marcus stood bare-armed in the center of the chamber, gravity turned up beyond Thraxis norms. Sweat streamed down his face as he moved through controlled, brutal motions, strikes, pivots, breath measured like a metronome. No audience. No display. Just discipline. You train as if war still follows you, she said. Marcus stopped immediately and bowed. War always follows, he replied. It just waits. She studied him, searching for arrogance or ambition. She found neither. Weeks later, the alarm screamed. An armada emerged from folded space without warning, the Car Dominion, ancient rivals who had waited for Thraxis to weaken. Their ships blotted out the stars, weapons charging with predatory patience. Zerelia stood on the command balcony, heart sinking. Our fleets are not ready, a strategist whispered. We cannot hold. Marcus stood beside her, eyes fixed on the tactical projections. Evacuate the inner cities, he said calmly. Zerelia turned sharply. You presume to command. I presume to survive, he answered. The first bombardment hit the orbital shield, fracturing it like glass. The palace shook. Enemy dropships pierced the atmosphere, descending toward the capital spire. This is where we die, one noble whispered. Marcus stepped forward. Permission to deploy, he said. Deploy what? Zerelia snapped. You have no command. No army. He met her gaze. I am the deployment. Silence fell. Before she could respond, he reached to his chest and pressed a recessed seal hidden beneath ceremonial fabric. The air around him changed, pressure, density, reality itself bending slightly out of alignment. His skin lit with faint geometric patterns, pulsing like restrained lightning. Zirelia staggered back. What are you? Marcus exhaled slowly. A product of a Deathworld that learned too early what extinction looks like. The palace windows exploded inward as shockwaves rippled through the city. Stay here, he said, not as an order, but a promise. Then he stepped off the balcony. Zirelia screamed. Marcus fell hundreds of meters and struck the plaza below like a meteor. Stone vaporized. Gravity spiked outward in a controlled dome, flattening incoming assault units mid-descent. Enemy troops fired instinctively. Their weapons ceased functioning within meters of him. Marcus rose from the crater, eyes glowing with contained fury. He moved. Not fast. Inevitably. Each step crushed ground and morale alike. He tore through armored divisions barehanded, redirected artillery fire with localized gravity inversions, collapsed enemy walkers by pulling their mass inward until they folded. To the sensors watching from orbit, he appeared less like a soldier and more like a natural disaster with intent. The car commanders panicked. Target him. He is not a unit, he is an anomaly. Fall back. Marcus did not pursue. He advanced. When the car flagship descended to deploy its doomsday weapon, Marcus leapt, clearing kilometers in a single bound, and landed atop its hull. He ripped the weapon free before it could fire and hurled it back into the upper atmosphere. It detonated harmlessly among the stars. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, the car armada was broken, fleeing into fractured space. The city stood damaged, shaken, but alive. Zirelia stood frozen at the balcony, unable to breathe. He returned as quietly as he had left, stepping back onto the marble floor. The glowing patterns faded. The pressure eased. He bowed, blooded but unbowed. Threat neutralized, Marcus said. With apologies for the mess. The court dropped to their knees. Not in protocol. In instinct. Zirelia descended the steps slowly, her heart pounding louder than the alarms ever had. She stopped before him, searching his face. You could have ruled, she said hoarsely. You could have taken everything. Marcus shook his head. I wasn't sent to conquer. Then why reveal this now? He looked at her not as queen, not as ruler, but as the woman who had stood alone under the weight of an empire. Because, he said simply, they threatened my wife. Something shattered inside her. Not fear. Not pride. Certainty. She reached out and placed her hand over his heart. It beat strong, steady, human. From this moment, Zirelia said, her voice carrying across the chamber, let it be known that the Thraxis throne stands beside the guardian of a Deathworld. She turned to the court. I married this man out of obligation, she declared. But I stand with him by choice. Marcus met her gaze, surprised. Careful, he murmured. That sounds like affection. She smiled for the first time since the war began. Do not grow arrogant, battle deity, she said softly. You are still my consort. He smiled back. Yes, my queen. And across the galaxy, the legend spread not of a human who married into power, but of a queen who bound her fate to a man from a world that forged gods through survival alone.